UFC 298 just took place, and today, guys, I'm going to be talking about just about every single fight on the card. There's a couple fights probably that nothing really happened. Actually, I might talk about every fight, but regardless, if you're interested in hearing my take on any fight, the timestamps will be down in the description. Pin comment down below if you are interested, or the chapter bar. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another video. If you're new here, my name is Kyle. I am your guy with too many YouTube channels. Let's talk about these fights. Starting off with Miranda Maverick versus Andrea Lee. Nothing really happened in this fight. It's always crazy to me how sometimes this division can have the kind of talent level that the division has. I will say, though, Miranda Maverick did show to have a little bit better counter-striking than usual, so maybe she's improving, but this fight kind of went exactly as expected, to be honest with you. Then we had a really fun, sloppy scrap with Oban, Elliott, and Val Woodburn, and man, all Val Woodburn really had was a chance to slug it out, and man, does Oban have a chin on him, because some of those shots that he was eating definitely would have cracked the chin of a lot of people in that division, but hey, he survived, he came back, won using mostly the ground game, was a better technical striker. Again, all Val really had was a big shot that he was trying to land. Don't get me wrong, he got through, but still. Unfortunately, the Oban Elliott was just the better fighter. Moving on to the next fight, Danny Barlow versus Josh Quinlan. This was a great performance. Danny Barlow is definitely a dude to watch out for. We haven't seen a lot of him in the grappling department, but man, this dude, his counter striking is amazing. Uses his length very well. Took him a little bit to ease into the fight, and I was very curious about his performance, but man, he did a fantastic job. If he is fighting a pure striker, I'll probably honestly bet on him. I really will. He answered the question too, is like, what if somebody comes in, really starts pressuring with volume, really starts going guns blazing, because Josh Quinlan ended up doing that in the third round, and Danny Barlow just was so slick, so evasive, countered beautifully. It was a beautiful, incredible performance. Great for a UFC debut. Moving on, let's talk about Minyang Zhang versus Brendson Riberio. Now, I wasn't sure how Zhang was going to come into the UFC, and man, while he had a little bit of adversity, the fight was relatively short and came in, got a KO. Nothing to say about that. He called out Alex Pereira, which is, like Rogan said, he's jumping the gun a little bit, but hey, you can't really mock the man for trying, right? But now we have Rinya Nakamura versus Carlos Vera. This was I really enjoyed this fight, to be honest with you. It was pure grappling, pure, like, just constant scrambles, and Rinya Nakamura really showed what he was about on the ground, because Carlos Vera, he is a student under Ryan Hall, and it's very evident he was coming in. He did better than I thought he would. He was constantly attacking for submission attempts, and I'm not one who will constantly just hate on a BJJ guy like a lot of people will. Carlos Vera is a very dangerous ground game specialist, and Rinya Nakamura showed beautiful defense, beautiful scrambles, and I love when fighters do this. Every once in a while, he would punch his way out of a submission. More fighters need to do this. I don't know why so many of them refuse to do this, and I know that it's so hard to say, just sitting, or so easy to say, excuse me, just sitting back with my microphone, talking to a camera. I'm not a UFC fighter, but I've done MMA most of my life, and that stuff works, man. That stuff works when fighters do it. We see it in the UFC every once in a while. I don't know why more fighters don't do it, so it made me very happy when Rinya Nakamura started punching his way out of a couple submissions. But that brings us to Rogerio de Lima versus Junior Tafa. I actually thought that Tafa had a chance just because of the punching power, but Rogerio de Lima just chopped down his legs till it didn't work. There's nothing you can do when the fighter takes it on one day's notice. It kind of went as expected. But let's talk about Amanda Lemos versus Mackenzie Dern. Boy, was I sweating for this one, because I had a nice, sizable bet on Amanda Lemos to win this fight. I believe she did win the fight. I gave her rounds 1 and round 3 easy, with Mackenzie Dern winning round 2. I thought that was clear as day, to be honest with you, but I was sweating because what is going on with the fight IQ of Amanda Lemos? Why is she going to the ground, Mackenzie Dern? Why is she over swinging so much and just finding herself on the ground? How could you let Mackenzie Dern knock you down? Mackenzie Dern swings like a child. I don't understand that, man. And I was sweating for my money. I placed a 1.5 round bet, or I believe it was 1.5 rounds, and I bet on Amanda Lemos to win as well. I was sweating during that fight, dude. It was honestly a really good fight, though. A really good scrap. Mackenzie Dern, like, she's not top level like Amanda Lemos is. And I mean, Amanda Lemos isn't exactly top level, but as soon as Mackenzie Dern kind of hits the top 5-ish level, she falls flat. She can't strike with them. But you know what? Something that definitely improved was her takedown offense. She said that she was working on her takedown offense, and that was very evident in this fight. Let's talk about the main card, though. Anthony Hernandez versus Roman Kopylov. Now, this fight I was very excited for. I loved watching this fight, but I was really pulling for Kopylov, and I wasn't sure how he would deal with the pressure taking this fight on short notice. I don't want to take anything away from Anthony Hernandez, because he could absolutely 100% win this fight, even if Kopylov didn't take this on short notice. But Kopylov ended up showing that he had a lot of great takedown defense, ended up being nice, precise, powerful with his strikes, but Hernandez kept pushing forward. I was having hope that Roman Kopylov would actually win, but Anthony Hernandez ended up getting the fight to the ground, ended up finding a choke that Kopylov somehow fought off of, and then he sinked in another one and finished the job. A little bit sad. I am a big Kopylov fan. I like Hernandez too. I really like watching the dude, but I was really pulling for Roman Kopylov to get it done here, but great performance by Anthony Hernandez. And that brings us to where my heart absolutely shattered. Merab Dvalishvili versus Henry Cejudo. I thought that Henry was going to pull it off for a minute. He had such a good first round, clearly won it. And if you guys don't know, Henry Cejudo is up there with one of my favorite fighters. I really want him to win, and I had a bet on Merab Dvalishvili. I had a couple bets on Merab. I really still wanted Henry to pull it off, and I thought he was going to at the beginning of the fight. But at the end of the day, his age started showing really hard. Merab's like a machine. Henry couldn't take him down. Henry couldn't hurt him with the shots. And Merab ended up embarrassing him, bringing him over to Zuckerberg, laughing at him. It was just, yeah. I like Merab, don't get me wrong. I like Merab a lot, but it was sad to see Henry Cejudo get like ragdolled like that. It was sad to see him on somebody else's shoulders getting thrown around, taken down, and then he didn't even get that moment on the microphone. I saw the clip with Dana White where it's like, that's Merab's moment. Henry already did the retire thing, but still, a legend like Henry Cejudo, I believe he deserves his microphone moment. But the thing, to be honest with you, I don't completely disagree with what Dana was saying. It sucked that Henry, it's tough because we don't know the real reason why he retired. If it was actually a negotiating tactic or if he was actually retired. Henry said it was real, but we don't know that for sure. So I understand Dana White's frustration with him, but at the end of the day, it was sad that he got ragdolled like that. It was sad to see that after so much success in the first round, he ended up fading to his age, which is probably the reason. Plus, it seemed like he actually had an injury in his forearm. His forearm blew up. But there's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do, dude. Henry Cejudo, it was to be expected, but it still made me sad. That brings us to Ian Machado Gary versus Jeff Neal. This one, I thought this would be a better fight than it was, but at the end of the day, it was a fun technical scrap. Jeff Neal did better than I thought he would do. Ian Machado Gary, something that I was really worried about him and something that stopped me from betting on him was I was worried for him because I didn't know how he would take all the crowd booing when he actually gets in the octagon. He showed that he can handle it. He showed that he can stick to a game plan. This dude has some sneaky knees he can throw up there. But I don't know how I'm feeling to get with Ian Machado Gary when it comes to fighting somebody like Leon Edwards. Because Jeff Neal gave him problems at some points, but at the end of the day, he came back, he got the nice win. I saw a little bit of controversy coming from here, people saying that Jeff Neal won the fight. I thought the fight honestly could have went either way. I edged it towards Gary myself, but I don't think it's enough to start screaming robbery. Just to be honest with you, people could be saying that because they don't like Ian Gary, but I thought it was a very close fight. That brings us to the co-main event, Robert Whittaker versus Paulo Costa. I was really pulling for Bobby Knuckles here, guys. Robert Whittaker is one of my favorite fighters of all time, and I really wanted him to win. I had a funny feeling coming into this that Paulo Costa was going to pull it off, and Rob, he showed up looking better than he ever has. The dude is bigger. The dude looked powerful. The dude looked determined, and he showed that, and boy, when Paulo Costa landed that spin kick at the end of the first round, my heart sank out of my body. It sank to the floor. I was like, no, Rob was doing so good, but he came back, pulled it together, had a great performance, and it was a hard-fought scrap. Something's for sure. Paulo Costa definitely still showed that he has it and can definitely hang with the top contenders. It's crazy to me how fast this dude's kick is for the size, that he is. And Robert Whittaker, man, put on a beautiful technical performance. His blitz is so fast. His jab was looking strong. The low kicks were there. Makes me very interested for a potential Strickland matchup. And as a big Bobby Knuckles fan, I support it. Give him a title shot. Well, against Dricus, but I mean, like, I was assuming that Sean Strickland would get the rematch with Dricus du Plessis. I don't know why I was kind of jumping the gun there. My apologies. I think they're going to do a rematch, and I think Sean is going to beat him in a rematch and then give Robert Whittaker the title fight. Excuse me. Sorry, I kind of went all over the place there, but Robert Whittaker looked great. I'm always happy to see him get the win. I think he's like an all-around great guy, and I will forever be cheering for him. But then more sadness struck as Ilia Topuria and Alexander Volkanovski faced off, and Volk was doing good, man. Volk was doing good. I don't know what's wrong with me, okay? I made an entire betting guide video saying, hey, don't bet on Alexander Volkanovski. And then I said this, in my, like, I don't know if I mentioned it in the betting guide video or if I mentioned it in the post. Regardless, I'll be taking a look at my bets tomorrow on the channel if you guys are interested. I made a video talking about Alexander Volkanovski. Hey, don't bet on a guy who just got knocked out a few months ago. I saw the odds. I saw the fighter who I believe to be the greatest of all time. At some point, I believe he was the greatest of all time. And I put a bet on him because it's good odds. I put a bet on him because he was just about an underdog. And I was like, yeah, I'm feeling good. But, like, I like his chances. And I should have listened to my own advice, dude. I don't know what's wrong with me. Hey, you know what? At least I uploaded a video, gave great advice for the channel, right? But regardless, bets aside, Alexander Volkanovski came in. He was looking good. He was looking confident. And throughout the fight, he was really beating Ilia Topuria. He was getting the upper hand. Ilia was still tagging him, but I did not like the way he left his chin out there. And we were talking about that. My dad and I were talking about that watching the fight. And it was only a matter of time before he got caught. Alexander Volkanovski's chin seems to be gone at this point. I know Ilia Topuria hits hard, but I think we're about to see the downfall of Alexander Volkanovski. The dude's going to go out like BJ Penn. The dude's going to go out like Tony Ferguson, and I'm not ready for it. It's so sad. It's so sad. The dude's just going to want to be active again. He's going to want to get in there as soon as he's cleared to fight. But honestly, Ilia came in, had a great fight. He was looking for the big shot. He found the big shot. One big thing that I really wholeheartedly believe about this is if they give Max Holloway a title shot, assuming that Gaethje doesn't destroy Max Holloway's chin, Holloway will do what he wants to Ilia Topuria. Holloway will steamroll this guy. And honestly, I think Yair Rodriguez has a pretty good chance of doing so as well. I'm not convinced that Ilia Topuria is honestly on the level of Alexander Volkanovski because I believe in Alexander Volkanovski before the second loss to Islam Makhachev would dance circles around this guy. But I don't want to sit here and take anything away from Ilia Topuria. I just believe that we're witnessing an Alexander Volkanovski past his prime who no longer has a chin. But Ilia is still a fantastic fighter. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to take anything away from him. It's sad to see, man. And I'm not ready for all the memes. I'm not ready for all the sad TikToks about Alexander Volkanovski getting knocked out. You know, the as it was, and show them all winning, happy championship. But Volk getting knocked out, him questioning what was going on, still didn't really want to believe it. It was just really sad to see, man. It was really sad to see, but it was a great performance by Ilia Topuria. Alexander Volkanovski is probably going to get into the rematch, and he's probably going to get finished. Makes me sad. There was a lot of sadness on this card. I was really sad for Volk. I was really sad for Henry Cejudo, to be honest with you, but at least we got the Bobby Knuckles win. And could you imagine if Paulo ended up knocking out Robert Whittaker? Could you imagine? I'd be ready to do something crazy. But it's just, I feel bad for Volk, man. I really do. I thought that he was the greatest fighter of all time up until that second Makhachev fight, but the downfall's coming. The downfall is on its way. Speaking of downfalls, though, guys, I do want to point you to this video over here. It is an early UFC 299 breakdown. Check it out on screen right now, guys. Thank you so much for being here. Take care.